Yeah, boy, it's October 8th, and it's episode 93, and this is the Fantasy Football Auctioneer. I'm your host, Uncle Buckets. The Fantasy Football Auctioneer is the official podcast of thefantasyfootballauction.com, the internet's only website dedicated to fantasy football auctions. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/fantasyfootballauctioneer, or follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Fantasy Auction. We've got a great show for you tonight. Tonight we're going to break down Week 5 and all the goodness that was. Guys like Austin Davis and Brandon Oliver and even a Tim Wright sighting. And we'll get you ready for the waivers. Hopefully you do your waivers after Wednesday and your lineup submissions for Week 6. But of course, both experts are actually here. He made a huge trade in our Dynasty League and picked up the $138 Le'Veon Bell. Slim. That was a large roster move.
Yeah, I need to do something. So, I don't know. I figured it wasn't too bad. I gave up Beckham Jr., Moncrief, Vereen in the first. A bunch of guys that I don't really give a shit about, except for Beckham. Didn't like giving him up. Had a good week too, but I mean, I figured my first round pick was going to be spent on a running back probably anyway, so I might as well get a proven guy that's hopefully going to be a stud on my team for the next 3 years.
Yeah,
so
I mean, he could be the RB1 next year, yeah.
Well, and if
Not too shabby.
AP somehow shakes this case, my backfield doesn't look too bad all of a sudden. But, you know, I can't catch a break because now A.J. Green's gone down again, so it's just the story of my life in this damn pool. One slap in the face after the other. Hello,
it's
1 and 4.
Dynasty. It's a dynasty.
Yeah.
All right, and and he came over a mysterious illness to make it on the show tonight. Blister, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
You almost called him sick, but he loves fantasy football that much.
Trying to call in sick and skip the pod.
That's all right. No big deal. Anyways, we'll get rolling so we can try to make this one short and sweet. We've all got a busy day tomorrow. So anyway, if you guys are ready, then I'm ready. Let's cock the hammer. It's time for action. All right, guys, before we get rolling and get into the week that was and the week that will be, I don't know, it's not even a killing in the name of, but I spent a lot of time listening to games on Sirius this weekend, and over and over and over I hear the ad for, get up to $200 match for free on FanDuel. And I mean, okay, so let's just say in August we had that 50,000 people listen to the podcast, and let's just say that 1% of that 50,000 plays daily fantasy. So Blister used to be a math teacher. What's that? 500 people?
I wasn't listening.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's say there's 500 people that are playing on FanDuel that listen to us. Let's just say.
Oh, yeah.
So I did the math again, and I'm like, okay, so you get you put $50 on FanDuel. They give you a free match on 50, but it only trickles in at 4%. So you play $50, they give you $2 on that entry fee for that day. So you pay $100, you play 100, then you only got $4 on. You played $1,000, you got 40 trickled in. So you're playing over $1,000 to get your $50 back. Whoa, what a deal! Yeah. So, anyways, I got angry, so that's why all of a sudden I was like tweeting it and Instagramming it. So all I'm saying is, if you want to play dailies and you want the deal, come to the website, thefantasyfootballauction.com. There's been people signing up. We're getting lots of guys weekly signing up for this. Click on the banner for Fantasy Sports for You. Use the promo code auction. Get the 100% match and up to $50. And that's $50. So you put in $50, and when you get your match, you could turn around and play the full $100 that week if you wanted to. You don't have to spend $1,000 to get that 50. You put in 50, you get 50. That's a match, not a trickle. Anyways, killing the name of whatever you want to call it. I didn't want to run an ad. I get angry listening to that because it's false representation, I think. I don't want to play $1,000 to get the free 50. I want to play $50 and get the free 50.
Amen, brother.
Amen,
brother. Cupcakes like me that can't pick a decent lineup for the last 3 weeks, and so it's just you're taking my money. Just come on and site and take it. I'm giving it away right now.
I was on it in the 3 or 4 leagues that I was in. I was on it, and then it seemed like everybody I played against, Dean Hoagie or whoever it was, all had Russell Wilson on the Monday Nighter.
Ooh.
And
is that what happened? Because I didn't even look. You know what? I thought I had some on lock. Because I had Olsen. I was pumped. I had some awesome production and
I played Austin Davis. He was a huge, cheap, easy pickup there.
Bortles killed me, but whatever.
Well, and I did, and I wavered back and forth, so I put a couple in with Bortles and a couple in with Davis, and.
Oh, I do that all the time too. I'll put in multiple lineups a few times just to spread it out a bit, and it still doesn't. My sights are off right now. So now's the
time.
Picking is right, boys. It's harvest time. Come on the site, and it's the fall. Reap the rewards.
That's right.
And take my money. It's going on.
Everybody else is. So head on over to the website, click on the Fantasy Sports For You banner, sign up, use the promo code auction. The boys over there will give you the exclusive deal only through our site. And, I mean, it's hands down the best deal in daily fantasy. I mean, go find a better deal. Let us know, because then we'll look into partnering up with them. You won't find it. There's nobody that's going to give you a match like this, pure match, up to $50. I mean, join the mid-season survivor pool. It's a $10 entry fee, so put in a $10 deposit, get $10 back right away. It's a 2-for-1 deal in the mid-season survivor. I mean, if you just
and make sure that you enter your rosters in before Thursdays.
On Thursdays, that's right. Read the rules, know thy rules. Anyways, all right. That's my rant or my advertisement. I don't know what it really was supposed to be, but that's what it was. Anyway, so right about now we usually do a fan league update. I don't know how much we want to or not, but
I'll go first. Might as well keep this pile on. So yeah, lost again, 1-4. Thank you, Michael Crabtree and Pierre Garçon. I knew Pierre had a tough matchup, but Crabtree, perfect, 2 points, love it. Yeah, and I just happened to go against Demaryius Thomas and Justin Forsett.
That hurts.
So Demaryius Thomas got half the points of my team for that week, so that was awesome. Yeah, no, it was a good week for me. Perfect. Lost 3 in a row now, 1-4, sitting in I think 11th out of the 12 teams. Really representing, boys. Hopefully you're doing better. Congrats to Robert Taylor though. That was for stomping on my face.
Blister, how you doing?
I got in the win column for the first time, so I've now equaled Slim at 1-4. But on a good note, I won finally. I played Sam H. His team name's Adirondack Rooms. He didn't have a bad score. He got 0 though from Larry Donnell. I don't think he was expecting that. I had Larry in a lot of those daily fantasy sports for you pools, and Larry's big goose egg didn't help me very much. And he had Crabtree letting him down as well, and Alf Morris had 3 points. But he had good games out of Reggie Wayne and Emmanuel Sanders. My big shooter was Brian Quick, 5 catches.
Yeah, boy, it's been a nice play. Good on the dailies too.
So he was huge for me, and after that, the rest of the team was fairly mediocre at best. Patriots got 14. Kyrie Robinson got me 15. That's who I was playing. Monty Ball got me 3. So, yeah, it was good. Got on the win column. Hopefully that's the start of something. But looking at my bench, it's kind of gross.
Just to butt in, I've got DeMarco in my fan league, and you know how many points he got, Blister? 22. 22.
I also have DeMarco in our fan league, and on our scoring system it was 19. So
nice.
How'd Monty do?
Oh, sorry. He just 3.
Yeah.
3.
How's he going to do this
now
week?
He's out for a month.
Yeah.
Injuries, right? Injuries. And that's why we don't pick DeMarco.
That's why we didn't pick DeMarco. Injury trouble. And then yet on the radio on Sirius XM, listening to the fantasy things there, they're all just harping like, oh, you better go get DeMarco's the running back. You think that it was imminent that he will be hurt like soon. Like it's like a hurricane. You can see it on the radar. It's coming. And it's almost like these guys have a crystal ball. I mean, yeah, he's had a history, and that's what scared us off at the beginning. But I mean, it's just like it's going to happen any play now, and it probably won't happen all year.
And Joseph Randall, no Dunbar. It's Randall. You got to pick up Randall.
It's Randall now. Yeah, you got to have Randall, not Dunbar. It's amazing how things change.
How quick, eh? Well, I was victorious in the fan league again. That puts me to 3-2. I beat up on Philly, make it Ertz so good. That's his name, Josh. So I love the name, and actually, what I like even more is his avatar is this steroid monkey squirrel, like this squirrel that just has a massive pump on. So it's wicked. But, I mean, my lineup, Russell Wilson, DeMarco, Le'Veon Bell, Julio, Golden Tate went off, T.Y., Fred Jackson, even Dan Bailey kicked in there a little bit. And, I mean, he had Phil Dawson as his number 2 scorer, Phil Dawson and Brian Quick. But Phil Dawson was for 20 points. So, I mean, it's a nice little day out of your kicker. Wow. But I scored 151 points in this system, so pretty happy with that. So
you must have got like the
I think I got the
easy league because you went first, eh? You were the first expert to draft with the fans in like what was that, February or something?
Something like
we're still in hibernation, so that's not right. Fair, Slim. We'll have to remember that for next year. You want to stroke our egos?
Give me the later draw. Give me the later draw. Yeah. But hey, on a coaching note, I played T.Y. Hilton above Pierre Garçon because of the matchup, and scored 10 extra points off of that, which made me happy. So
we played him in ECL. We sat Pierre for Golden Tate, and we made about 23 points off of that.
We're crushing the total points in that league, eh, Blister?
Yeah. Yes, we are. Holy man, that's awesome. I mean, we could be way ahead. We had a choice this week. We started Big Ben because he was playing Jacksonville, and everybody and their grandmother thought that any Pittsburgh Steeler was going to be gold this week, and of course they pretty much all disappointed. So we started him though because also our other quarterback was Russell Wilson, and he was on the road, and Seattle tends to not be as awesome on the road, but he was awesome. In that league, he got around 60 points to Ben's 20.
Oh, yeah, and in that league, right? The quarter point...
half point for rush.
Half point?
Yeah.
Rush attempt, yeah.
I think there's bonuses for 100 yards of rushing and stuff like that, too, so he was a beast.
He was a beast. And on our bench, and we still crushed him.
Well, our bench crushed half the league.
Again.
Sorry, guys.
Awesome.
We're due.
And we're playing the doormat this week, right? We're playing the doormat this week.
He's not the worst team.
That's what it said on the write-up. It said.
Oh, that's what the write-up said. Oh, okay. I didn't even read it. I haven't been on the computer at all this week, so I haven't read anything.
I read that on the tarmac in Sioux Lookout. Yeah, it's good. Anyways, okay, so that was a little fan league recap. Let's get things rolling here, guys. Let's look into segment number 1 called "We Just Got a Letter." So we just got a letter from guess who, guys? Coach Pau. Well, I forget. He told us how to say it. Pappas. Papau.
Yeah, man.
Papa?
Pappas.
Anyway, Pappas. So it's Jeremy Pappas, but he's Coach Papa. Papo. Papo. Poo poo. Coach Poo Poo. Half-point PPR question. Joik, Allen Robinson, the Hawk, or Antoine Smith. Slim, go.
I like Joik this week. Reggie Bush might not play, so that means lots of carries for Joik. Pencil him in for me.
All right. That quick and easy. Blister, you get number 2. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this one. Rock S, he's at Sapititi. P. Diddy. Let's call him that. He's asking, is Keenan Allen a situational based matchup, or is he a weekly play for the rest of the year? So situational or
I mean, this is a great week. You'd think they're playing against Oakland, and you think they'd light them up pretty good. But Phillip Rivers is really spreading the ball around. Like Eddie Royal's been getting into the end zone. Malcolm Floyd's been getting a share of looks. Antonio Gates and Keenan really hasn't had very many good outings. We thought he was starting something 2 weeks ago. He had over 100 yards, and it looked like, okay, this is starting. He's starting to roll. He had a good matchup last week, and he did very little. And I again, there's another guy that let me down in a lot of the daily leagues and stuff. But it's a tough call, is Keenan Allen. I mean, Phillip is, I mean, from a NFL coaching standpoint, they're doing a great job because they spread the ball around. They got a lot of guys that are quite reliable. From a fantasy standpoint, it's kind of a nightmare. So, I mean, the situation, he's got a great situation this week again, but he did last week, and that didn't quite pan out. I'm thinking maybe this week he bounces back and has another big game. But again, you're kind of rolling the dice there. I've actually been more comfortable playing Eddie Royal. I mean, in the fantasy leagues that I play in where I can, because he's actually been putting up more points per week. So, yeah, I mean, you don't get rid of Keenan by any means, but what he really needs to happen is an injury or two to that receiving core, like last year, where he becomes the man and he gets a ton of the looks and a ton of the targets and starts doing something with them. So until that happens, I don't think anything's going to change because they're doing pretty well, and I think they're going to continue to spread the ball around when they have those options. But Floyd and Royal, they tend to usually start off hot and then get hurt, so it's probably a matter of time.
Okay. So there's two tweets that came in. You can tweet us at Fantasy Auction. You can email us at footballauctioneer@gmail.com. Comment on the website, on the YouTube page. There's lots of different ways to get a hold of us. So we're still answering lineup questions and trade questions and all that type of stuff. So get a hold of us. But at Fantasy Auction is probably the easiest way to do it. So if you want to write us a letter, that's how you do it. Let's move on to segment number 2, guys. Segment number 2 is the fantasy news, buy or sell. So on the fantasy news, buy or sell, we take a look at headlines across fantasy football news, and we ask the experts if they're buying or selling the implications of said headline. Blister, we're going to start with you on this one. The headline is Saints backfield could change after the bye. So with the Saints off week 6, Blister, they have extra time to get their offensive line healthy. That could also mean the return of Mark Ingram and the end of Kyrie Robinson's time as a fantasy starter. He lit it up for everybody last week. So the Saints actually might have too many productive running backs in their backfield. I don't know what we do with Pierre Thomas and Robinson and Cadet and if Ingram's back. So Blister, buy or sell. You just can't trust anybody in the Saints backfield with Ingram back.
I'll buy that. I mean, it's back to that same situation where you don't know who's going to get the most touches. I mean, Pierre Thomas, we figured in PPR would be the safest bet there, but he hasn't been overwhelming. So I think it just muddles the situation. Definitely Robinson gets kind of pushed to the back burner. Mark Ingram was having a pretty solid start, so see if he can continue that. He's still in that contract year. He's playing for something as well, so you got to think that he's got to come back realizing that he's going to have to work hard and be impressive if he's going to continue to, showcase himself for a contract, whether it's with the Saints or somebody else for next year. So it's a mess, though. I mean, that whole offense hasn't been too awesome like we kind of expect it to be. So it's one of those situations where you're hoping that you can avoid any of those guys for now. It's just there's safer plays out there.
It's got to be killing guys who spent big bucks in their auction on Breeze. It's a nightmare because the rest of their team can't be doing a whole lot because he spent so much money on Breeze. So, anyways, that's not good. Yeah. That's not good. So let's move on to you. Headline number 2, the Broncos expect Monty Ball to miss at least 4 weeks. So the Broncos are preparing to be without running back Monty Ball for at least 4 games, according to ESPN. Ball, he suffered a groin strain in week 5 in the win over Arizona. Ronnie Hillman looks like he's going to be the primary replacement for Ball. So, Slim, buy or sell, Hillman is an RB2 at best. Slim?
Sell.
Sell.
One, he's got a tough matchup this week against the Jets. Sorry, I'm lagging there.
Yeah.
It must be.
I got you.
Anyway, he's got a tough matchup against the Jets. And you know what? I don't think he's the best runner on the team anyway. I really think that C.J. Anderson is the best runner on the team. Hillman's best served in a passing situation, which is good for him, I guess, since the Broncos do pass quite a bit. But to me, C.J. Anderson is the best all-purpose runner that they have, and I think that we'll see fairly quickly he will be more or less their first and second down running back out there. When Hillman he's going to get mixed in there for sure. But yeah, I think Anderson week in, week out is going to get more touches than Hillman will until Ball comes back. So yeah, I'm selling Hillman, especially this week against the Jets.
Well, and I mean, it's something that I think we talked about preseason, that Hillman's going to be the second man on the depth chart there, but if anything happens to Ball, that it's going to be Anderson who's going to be the RB1, because he's more built to be the all-purpose back, whereas Hillman, as you say, a little bit more into the passing game and that type of a thing. So this is what everyone called would happen, so let's just see if it pans out that way. Maybe they'll actually have some sort of fantasy points at the running back position there now too. That'd be good. Okay, let's move on to
we'll see. I don't know.
Well, maybe. I just said maybe. Blister, let's move on to you for headline number 3. The headline number 3 says, remain patient with Ryan Matthews. So fantasy owners who are waiting for Ryan Matthews to return from his knee injury will need to be a bit more patient. It looks like he could miss 1, possibly 2 more games, including this week against the Raiders. And this then brings up Brandon Oliver, who had a sensational week in the absence. Well, I mean, it's fourth man up now there. So, you know, downtown Donnie Brown is gone, and Ryan Matthews is gone, and Woodhead is gone. So Oliver really stepped in, and he looks like he's the type of back blister that could fill in Woodhead's role even when Ryan Matthews comes back too. So just kind of keeping that in mind. But with Matthews gone for the next little bit, Blister, buy or sell Brandon Oliver. He's just a flash in the pan, and he's not something you can count on moving forward.
I'll sell that. I think he had a heck of a game last week against that same Jets defense that nobody else has been able to really run against, and he shredded them. So I think, you know, that shows that he's got the skills and the talent. He beat out they drafted Marion Grice. They cut him because this guy, undrafted rookie Brandon Oliver, beat him out of a job. So, you know, I think he's going to get opportunities.
Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie? No, I think Ronnie's bounced around the league enough already this year. I mean, he was there with him before, but I think Oliver is a guy they can see playing well. And even when Matthews comes back, I could see maybe a bit of a timeshare, which can be a bit of a headache, but I don't think Matthews will get the ball solely and Oliver will become irrelevant. I just think that they need to try to keep Matthews healthy going forward. To, you know, their course, or Donald Brown, who knows, he wasn't doing much when he was healthy. Danny's done for the year, Woodhead that is. So I think they're going to keep Oliver involved in that offense even when Ryan Matthews comes back. But he's a great buy and a great add this week, and I think he's only $1,000 on Fantasy Sports for you. So he's as cheap as it gets on there for one of your running backs this week.
Well, and I picked him the week before, just on a whim on the waiver wire, so not expecting Donald Brown to get injured, but just expecting him to not be that good. So this is a good opportunity now. All of a sudden I'm slotting him in and hoping for RB2 at the minimum. So I'm hoping anyways. So let's move on to the next one. Reports are Teddy Bridgewater is not hampered by the ankle. So the Vikings rookie quarterback returned to practice Tuesday, and he, quote-unquote, didn't seem to be bothered by the sprained ankle. This according to the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. And Coach Mike Zimmer says that Bridgewater is, quote-unquote, fine. So he's expected to start fully on Sunday against the Lions. So anyways, Slim, buy or sell. Now it's time to start getting excited if you're a Patterson owner.
I'm going to sell. I don't think this changes much as far as Patterson's production. It seems like he's not being utilized fully in this offense yet, and we've seen it doesn't appear like he's really a polished route runner or anything like that. He's still more involved in things like sweeps and screens and handoffs and stuff like that instead of actually getting off.
I just got Baba Booeyed! Johnny Gibson, come on into the podcast.
I didn't even see it.
He's not in, but they just opened up the bathroom door, scared the crap out of me, and then I got a Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis. Awesome. I just
Where are you?
Oh yeah, no, actually, it did scare the hell out of me. They're in my studio.
What are they doing over there?
Well, they were just out for beverages with the Toronto crew.
Showing penises.
Oh
Yeah,
my
they're
goodness.
showing penises. They can't hear what you're saying, which is awesome because you're in the headphones. They just know that I'm talking to you. So he's officially made the podcast.
Look at that.
That's pretty good. What's that?
I just heard a lot of yelling. I thought actually
LeGarrette Blunt.
That's my call for this week.
That's his call, Garrett Blunt. That's his call for the week. They laugh.
Okay, we got nice shirts.
Oh, they got nice shirts. It's good. Anti-Buckets and Johnny Gibson. Yeah, for an arrest. That's what's LeGarrette Blunt for an arrest this week? Or?
Give me my lineup.
Oh, no, Gibby's playing him this week. He's in the lineup.
Nice.
Nice. No, nice is the only call. I don't know. We're flustered now. Now we're
I hope
off.
I'm playing them then.
No, we're off. What's that? No, we're not almost done. We're on Fantasy Game Breakdown soon.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, bye. Oh my God, my heart stopped. All of a sudden, the bathroom door. I thought I heard voices out there. I'm like, what are the kids doing downstairs? And then the door opens and I hear Baba Booey, Howard Stern's penis. And I look over and Seth Rogen's at the door. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't have enough to drink or something. Holy Christ, my heart's still pounding. I wasn't expecting anyone to bust into the Uncle Bucket studio here.
Oh, man.
Anyway, sorry. Where in the hell were we? The Luxor?
Hey,
right.
good news.
Did you finish that?
AL will still be playing once we finish the podcast. So,
Wow. Yeah, but
more or less.
I got to edit.
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah. Anyways. All right, we're on the last buy or sell. That I don't know what that's going to sound like, but we'll keep it in. Anyways, we're on the last buy or sell. Blister, this one's going to you.
Right.
Calvin Johnson is frustrated that he was used as a decoy. So Lions receiver who played on the bad ankle for the past 2 weeks is frustrated at having to play less than 100%, and he is, quote-unquote, being used as a decoy, according to NFL.com. So he was only targeted 3 times after drawing 34 targets in the first 3 games. So Blister, buy or sell? Oh, yes. I got chicken wings too, boys. Yeah, boy. Good. I'll eat them on the air. That's good. Anyways, Blister, buy or sell?
Then.
What's that?
Mute your mic if you're going to eat them on the air.
Blister, buy or sell? It'll sound
Yeah.
gross because you can't see it. You'll just hear it. Nah, it would be bad.
Get some
if
corn
Mega-
cob too, just make it really sound disgusting. Or a banana. There you go. Chewing a banana too.
Oh, nice. That's good. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Blister, are you buying or selling? If Mega plays, you got to play him in week 6.
I'm going to sell it. They're on the road in Minneapolis. Minnesota's the 11th ranked pass defense in the league. If he's not getting targets, he's not going to make catches. So, I think it's out there that he's been used as a decoy. I honestly think he won't play this week. I think he'll probably rest that high ankle sprain and try to get better. But if he does play, I don't know. No reason to think that he's going to have a strong week, just based on the last couple. And it's kind of hard. I mean, it's Megatron. How do you sit him down? But I think if he's screwing your fantasy team, you can sit him down, see what you got out there. There's not a lot of teams on buys this week, I don't think. So you could there's got to be somebody else you can play.
No. And I don't think they play him this week.
No, me neither.
I think they sit him. Anyways, all right. That was the end of fantasy news, buy or sell. Pardon the interruption and all that jazz. Let's move on to segment number 3, guys, and see if we can't get back on track here. We knew it was going to be an interesting pod. So segment number 3 is called Livewire. So in this segment, the guys talk about who they are targeting on the waiver wire. Slim, I see your name written down here first. Give us someone that you're targeting this week on the waivers.
Well, if Odell Beckham Jr. is out there, I would definitely look at picking him up, especially for bye weeks. And, we talked last week about how hot Eli can get at times, and this offense looks like it's clicking. There's a lot of hype about him, just how good he is. He seems to be 100% healthy, even on a limited snap count. Last week he had a fairly productive game. I think he's going to keep picking up where he left off, and he should be able to build on that. And as long as Eli stays hot, to me, he's a viable wide receiver 3 in PPRs.
And I felt like you worked me on that trade. Was that predetermined that if you had Beckham, you could move him, and it was the 3-way?
Not at all.
No?
It was just coincidence. I don't know. I just offered him for Bell, and then we started negotiating. He wanted Beckham. I didn't want to give him up. I just got him. I really wanted him too, but that was a sticking point.
He hadn't even unpacked his bags yet, and you had him move him.
No.
All right. Well, he is only owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues, so very much available in most leagues out there. So Odell Beckham Jr. is who Slim's targeting. Blister, who's on your live wire?
Well, I think we talked about some of these guys, but I think 3 of the hottest ones, and I won't say them all in case Slim's going to talk about them, but Ronnie Hillman, I think you got to have. He's probably going to be available in a high percentage of leagues. I'm sure it's changed a lot in the last 3 days, though, but I think right now he's getting the ball more. I'm not as convinced as Slim is that C.J. Anderson's going to take the rock and run with it. He does have a tough matchup this week in New York with that run defense is pretty good, and that gives Peyton a good excuse just to throw the ball about 60 times to Demarius, Emmanuel, Julius, Wes, you name it. Those guys should be in line for a big game. But I think Ronnie Hillman's somebody you got to stash. I mean, it looks like Monty Ball is going to be out for an extended period, 3-4 weeks at least. So get Ronnie, get CJ too if he's out there, and see how things unfold. I wouldn't be too worried about how things go this week. I just think they're in for a tough one this week.
All right, Slim. Who else you have on the radar?
Well, I'm only going to do one more. I'm going to keep a wide receiver because I think I have a feeling where Blister might go with a couple more. I'm going to say Ace Sanders in Jacksonville. Such a mess there. I mean, their offense just kind of seems inept. They can't run the ball. They're struggling to pass it. But their receivers are so banged up. I mean, it's no surprise Cecil Shorts is hurt. Lee's still out. So right now, really, they've got Hearns, an undrafted player, and Allen Robinson. So, I mean, Sanders coming back from a suspension. It could be, he's more or less because they might need him. He's going to be thrust into the limelight in some sense. And if he has a solid week this week, his role should only increase, and I don't think it's going to take too much for him to jump maybe Hearns or even Allen Robinson, and he could very well, in a week or two, maybe be the number 1 guy on this roster right now. So, yeah, I'd take a flyer on him.
All right. Blister, let's see if you were going where Slim thinks you're going.
Well, maybe, but I'll stick with Jacksonville right now. I'll go Storm Johnson. The Toby Gerhardt's been a bum, and he's not doing anything, and the coach has been pleasantly surprised with Storm Johnson. He was injured for the first few games, and then he dressed it, didn't really see a snap the next game, and now last game, I think he had something like 27 yards on 4 carries, something like that, or, it was, and the coach figures he was, he's reading things a lot better than the other guys have been, and really between Toby Gerhardt, Denard Robinson, Jordan Todman, none of them have really done anything to solidify that number 1 job, and I think Storm Johnson's a guy that It'll be interesting to see how much he plays this week. Like I got him on a waiver wire in a couple leagues. I did activate him in one because I'm really hurting at running back this week with Monty Ball going down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a gamble, but I think if he does play and he does well, then all of a sudden next week when you go to grab him, you're either going to have a lot of fab dollars, or you're going to have to be a number one priority on the waiver wire or rankings or whatever. Otherwise, you won't get him. So maybe if you can grab him now before he potentially does go off, then it could get him a lot cheaper. But hopefully he does play, a rookie guy like that, and hopefully he can produce some points.
All right. So Slim, you don't have anyone else to go to, hey? So Blister, you want to keep rolling here?
No? You got anything, Slim?
Give her, man.
Well, I think the other two big names on the waiver wire, everywhere you read, Brandon Oliver, but we've already talked about him. I think you got to grab him. Andre Williams, but I don't think he's going to be on as many waiver wires as some of these other guys. He's probably has been owned for quite a while, but he's going to see an extended role. Another guy that probably some didn't see me coming to is I'm going to talk about Josh Hill. New Orleans Saint. Technically, he's their number 3 tight end, but the last 3 games he's had close to double-digit fantasy points: 9.3 versus the Bucks, 8.2 with the Cowboys, 14.8 versus the Vikes. 2 receptions, 1 reception, 3. So not great. 2 out of those 6, so 2 of them were for touchdowns. Actually caught every target he got in those last 3 games. But they say Ben Watson's ahead of him, but he's got double the fantasy points because he's been finding in the end zone. So if Graham's hurt for any period of time and sees that Drew Brees likes to look for this guy around the end zone, I just think that he might be a nice sneaky little stash. I mean, they're on a bye week this week, so if you did pick him up,
this is the week to find it, right? Yeah.
Probably get him cheap right now, and if he's looking for him in the end zone, if you're only getting 3 catches a game, and one of them is a touchdown, and you got 30 yards on top of it, it's a pretty nice little fill-in for a Jimmy Graham owner or something like that. So take a look at him. I think that's about all I had.
All right. So those are live wire, waiver wire moves that you should be looking at as far as, I guess pickups for the week. So let's move into the 4th segment, guys. This one is called Fantasy Game Breakdown. So in the Fantasy Game Breakdown, the guys take a look at a couple of games they're interested in and the fantasy implications within those games. So Blister just finished talking, so Slim, I guess that goes back on to you. What's one game you're looking at for fantasy-wise this week?
Well, since Blister hasn't talked too much about the Chargers, I figured I'll do it for him. Anyway, well, maybe we could both do it then.
I know.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I'm looking at this as a selfish Phillip Rivers owner in many pools. And I beg somebody to show me a set of rankings that doesn't have Phillip Rivers as a top 3 quarterback this week. He's been clicking, and now he's going up against Oakland. Division game could be tough, but right now, like I said, the Chargers' offense is hot. They're 7th in terms of yards per game passing. Oakland, too, they give up 158 yards per game rushing. So, to me, this is the perfect recipe for San Diego. They should be able to do it through the air when they get up big.
Slim, I want to take your challenge. You said you challenge anyone to tell you who doesn't have. What did you say?
I just have a hard. How do you not have Phillip Rivers?
I'm not looking at your rankings, by the way. I went elsewhere.
Well, no, because ours, I think both we have him as a top 3 inside the top 3. But I just have a hard. How do you not have him as the top 3 quarterback this week? That's all.
Okay.
That was the challenge.
Oh, okay. Well, our friend over at the other site that didn't answer the tweet this weekend.
Yep.
We don't need to name names. Has him as a number 8 quarterback this week.
See, the only thing I could see is that they get
up
so
back
big.
Of Jay Cutler.
Well, I don't think Jay Cutler's a bad play this week either, but I don't know. I guess they get up so huge fast, they just run the ball the whole second half. But, I mean, we saw what happened again last week where in one half he still put up, 250 and 3 TDs. I don't see why he couldn't do that against Oakland still. So,
anyways, I just just happened to have it open, and I thought, oh, let's take a look. So,
let's take a look. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
anyways,
really, I'm not here to talk about the Raiders. I'm talking about how pumped I am to play Phillip Rivers this week, more or less. And Keenan Allen's a good play. I think Antonio Gates is an awesome play this week. If you're in a pinch, I would even consider maybe playing Ladarius Green if you're that desperate, because they might just take Gates right out of the game at some point, and it could be Ladarius Green out there catching a few passes. So I think there could be a lot of fantasy potential, at least on one side of the ball. The only bright spot I have for Oakland is maybe Andre Holmes, just because of the garbage time. Him and James Jones probably will be, I would say, borderline wide receiver threes in a PPR. I'm not super confident about them, but I think there'll be a ton of garbage time where Oakland's going to have to pass the ball. So I think those two guys could benefit from that for sure. So with that being said, I will pass it on to Blister, who's either going to be scrambling or else add to something I've said.
No, I'll go away.
Go ahead, Mr. Blister.
Well, Washington's traveling to Arizona this week, so a lot of interesting things there. Kirk Cousins has kind of been up and down, had a great game, had a dud. He actually looked okay against Seattle. They're a tough defense, but they're giving up some points this year. Anyways, they're going into Arizona. What I'm interested to see, first of all, is I kind of think this is another week that you might want to maybe you sit Alfred Morris if you're an owner, or you really temper your expectations, because Arizona's stingy against the run. They average just about 77 yards per game to the run, but they give up the second most yards per game through the air. They give up just about 303 yards. Only Jacksonville's worse, which kind of surprised me. So I want to see, Deshaun Jackson had a big game last week, but I want to see Pierre Garçon. Will he get more involved? I want to see which tight end is going to be healthy, and are they going to contribute? Is it Jordan Reed back, Niles Paul? Are they both going to play? What's happening there? So it's kind of interesting to see if, Arizona is at home. They do have a tough defense, but can Kirk Cousins go in there, and if they shut down the ground game, can he do it through the air, make good choices, make good throws, and can he be a viable quarterback this week? I do have him in many leagues. I'm not sure what to do. Tom Brady infused a bit of belief in me again last week in that offense, so I almost consider them, but they're on the road in Buffalo. They're tough too. So Kirk Cousins is going to be a guy that I'm watching. Pierre Garçon, he needs to be more consistent this year. He's too hit and miss this year. I don't care about Djax. I'm sure he won't have nothing like he did last week. It was a big week for him, but I just don't like him at all. So, and I just want to check out those tight ends in Washington to see who's healthy and how much they're going to use them in that game. You would think that if they're giving up 300 yards through the air, that Cousins is going to be throwing the ball quite a bit, especially if they can't run it. On the Arizona side of things, who's going to be behind center there? They're all kind of banged up a bit. I don't think Carson Palmer is going to be back anytime too soon. So will Stanton be starting again, or was it going to be a rookie? Because that's really going to affect things. Washington is actually fairly tough to run against as well. Where they only give up 114 yards per game, but 224 through the air. So Andre Ellington, not a bad play, but again, it might be not as easy going as it was. But Michael Floyd, he's a guy that we all loved going into the season, has been relatively quiet. So where is he? Is he going to show up this game? I think it's all going to go back to the quarterbacking. If Carson Palmer's there, I think we'd all feel a lot better about Michael Floyd in that offense right now. But it could be a lot of dump-offs to Ellington again, especially if it's a rookie quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see if there's going to be a Pierre Garçon sighting, a Michael Floyd sighting, Kirk Cousins, if he can have a dominating performance, just exactly what's going to happen, because there's a lot of guys on there that can potentially be good fantasy players, but unfortunately there's a lot of guys that are very inconsistent from one week to the next on both those teams. So it'll be interesting to see who shows up this week, because there's guys on there that if you played in a fantasy, like a daily fantasy pool, that you could get for a good price. They could go off and they could win you the league, or they could easily lose you a weekly fantasy pool too.
Right. Okay. So there's the fantasy game breakdown. 2 games that they're taking a look at for this week. Next up is segment number 5. This one we call This is the Man. So in This is the Man, we pit expert versus expert. We take a look at positional battles that you may be considering, challenges that you're considering as far as your roster goes, deep on your bench, and who do you play at flex, and these types of decisions. So the guys go head-to-head each week and say who's going to score more points, this guy or that guy. So far after 4 weeks, heading into week 5, Blister was up 16-13 over Slim. Let's take a quick recap of what happened in week 5. Week 5, Blister took Joe Flacco. Slim took Colin Kaepernick, and Cap wins. So Slim gets a point. Running back position, both guys took Jerick McKinnon over Toby Gerhart. What happened to Gerhart? I mean, there's a lot of stimulated people prior to the season with Toby Gerhart, and yeah. Anyways, Jerick McKinnon scores over 7.5 points. Both guys get a point there. Staying with running backs, we looked at the potential in Carolina for Darren Reeves, but both guys took Steven Jackson, and he had a good day.
Found the end zone.
Yeah, and when he does that, it's huge, right? So 18.4 on Steven Jackson, so both guys get a point there. Moving to the wide receiver position, Blister took Eddie Royal. Slim took Ruben Randall. Ruben scores. Slim scores. Staying with the wide receivers, Andre Johnson. Both guys took Andre Johnson over Jordan Matthews, and they score a point there. At the tight end position, it's a battle. Both guys. Oh, actually, you weren't 8 for 8. I scored that one wrong. So the tight end position, it was a battle of the basement kind of. Jason Amaro versus Eric Ebron. Both guys took Ebron, but Amaro outscored him. So actually, neither guys scored points there, so I'll have to adjust my points as we move on. At the flex position, both guys took Travis Kelce over Cordero Patterson. Patterson hasn't done anything since the opening drive Blister when they hosted the Patriots. It still hasn't done anything since then. I think he scored that many. I think he scored 2.8 points in that drive. That's what he scored last week. And then finally, the DST. Both guys took the Eagles, who scored 19 points over playing against the Rams, and the Rams scored a miserable 1 point. So heading into this week, Slim was 7 for 8. Blister was 5 for 8. So Slim's making a little bit of a comeback here. So if we do that right, then the score rate. You guys just adjust that for me. You're adjusting right now. All right, good. So Slim's only 1 point back now, heading into week 6. Blister at 21 overall and Slim at 20. So week 6, guys, I just put this up on the board. You have no time to research it. Let's take a quick look at the quarterback position. Hot name out there in fantasy in the waiver wire. Just picked him up in one of our waiver wires. Austin Davis versus the San Francisco 49ers, or Matthew Stafford at Minnesota. Slim, you are losing. You go first.
Well, I'm going to take Stafford. I don't mind the matchup, even though the Vikings have been somewhat tough against the pass. I just think that Stafford's going to throw for a couple touchdowns, and I don't know how many Davis throws for this week. I think he gets 1. I'm not sure he gets more than that, so I'm going to go with Stafford.
All right, Blister, who are you taking, Austin Davis or Matthew Stafford?
I'm going to take Austin Davis. I think that he's going to have not nearly as good a week as he did last week. I just don't know about that receiving core in Detroit if there's no Calvin Johnson. And then if Golden Tate is the number 1 and they shut him down, who's the number 2 going to be? And I think his best chance of getting yards Matthews is going to be throwing it to Joique Bell. But I think with Austin, they're going to have a hard time running the ball, so he might have to air it out.
All right, running back position, guys, and I can't believe I'm going to put this on the line here. LaShawn McCoy hosting the New York Giants, or Ben Tate hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who would have thought that you would have this as a question on your lineup? Blister, going to you.
Yeah, I'll go with Shady McCoy. Tate's coming off that injury, looked pretty good last week, went for over 100 yards. I think Pittsburgh, though, will be playing tough. It could be a lower scoring game. I think Philadelphia, New York could be a higher scoring game. So, Tate potentially could get more yards. I think Sean McCoy has a better chance of getting in the end zone once or twice.
All right, Slim, what say you?
I'm going with Shady as well. Last week I thought he could have a breakout. Well, he's kind of had a breakout. I think he can build off it this week, though, against the Giants. And like Blister said, I think this could be a tough game, division game, AFC North, smash mouth. Could be a little tougher sledding for Tate this week, even though the Pittsburgh defense isn't the juggernaut that we're used to. So I'm going to take McCoy.
All right. Sorry, I was looking over at the other part. Let's stay. Oh no, sorry. We're gonna move on to wide receiver. Oh no, staying at the running back. Sorry, guys. Slim, this is staying with you. Bishop Sankey hosting the Jags, or Antoine. Is Antoine? No, I'm gonna say it wrong. Antone. Tony Tone. Anyone? Gibson would have laughed if he was here right now.
He's upstairs.
Okay, so Sankey or Tony. That's where all the noise is up there. There's a lot of ruckus happening up there. Anyways, Sankey or Tony Tone Slim?
I'm going to go with Antone Smith, man. I mean, I saw a thing today. I think he's averaging something like 17 yards a touch or something. Like, it's
not
stupid. And the Falcons have said they're going to get him more involved. I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't even know if they have to get him that much more involved for him to outproduce Sankey this week. He seems like he's good for one huge play every week, and he seems to always find the end zone. So I'm going to ride Smith.
All right. Blister, what say you, Sankey or Smith? Oh, easy. I was going to leave that alone.
Well, it's tough. The tough part of this one here is imagining Slim riding Smith. The toughest part is, sorry, man.
It'd be like that monkey that rides the dog around. Think of that.
Yeah.
Don't hear sexually.
It's so hard to imagine a guy who might get 3 or 4 touches a game outproducing a guy that should be overtaking the number 1 role, and yet he's been doing that. That's all he's been doing, and he's been getting points, and he's probably got 2 or 3 times as many fantasy points as Sankey this year. So, in the end, it doesn't matter how; it matters how many. So, I'm going to go with Smitty.
Ooh, I like the line. No matter how, it's how many. I like it. All right, remember that for the draft kit next year. That's good. Yeah. Okay, wide receivers, guys. Blister, this one's going to you. Sammy Watkins hosting your Patriots, or Kendall Wright hosting the Jags.
I'll take Kendall Wright. He had a good week last week, so he's going to fall on his face this week, and they'll completely ignore him in the offense and do something totally stupid in Tennessee, because that seems to be how they operate right now. But I got to take him. I think the Patriots are going to play tough D with Buffalo. They're going to have to, because Buffalo's D is playing well. So we'll Kendall Wright.
All right, you're not taking the Cowboy Bobby Orton there? Sorry.
Bobby Orton.
They're thinking of Cowboy, going back to your wrestling roots.
Cowboy.
What was his first name? Cowboy what? Orton?
Bob.
I gotta find that. No, was it Bob Orton? Anyways, Slim, it's probably a little too old for you, Slim. Watkins or Wright? Which W?
I'm gonna go with Blister. I'm gonna go Kendall Wright. I want to see if he can build up what he did last week. Like you said, he had a good week finally. I don't know if that was because of Jake Locker coming back. I'm sure that has maybe something to do with it. But even though I like Watkins, I'm just scared how much Darrelle Revis Watkins might see this week. So I'm going to go right.
Okay. Staying with wide receivers and you, Slim, Michael Floyd. What's that? Darrell?
I think I said Darrelle Revis too. This is in the worst pod.
You're going to get called. You're going to get called out if you did. I was looking ahead.
Does he work at Revco?
That's not Revis. Nor is it Darrell. Anyway. Oh, my God. All right. Slim, staying with you. Michael Floyd or Michael Crabtree. Go.
Well, I've had blue balls all year because my man crush Michael Floyd hasn't been able to do anything for me. So I'm going to go with Crabtree, even though he's been less than spectacular the last couple of weeks. Right now, I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Cardinals, and if it's Logan Thomas, that scares me. Even if it's, I don't think it's going to be Palmer. So I'm going to go Crabtree, and I think he's got to do something one of these weeks. So this is going to be it.
This is the week. Slim, who you take? Or Slim Blister, who you taking?
Well, I gotta go with Crabtree. I didn't want to, but I just think that the biggest question mark is who's going to be quarterback in Arizona. So since that's such a big question mark, I'll go with Crabtree.
Okay. It is Bob Orton, Blister. I had to Google it, and I'm currently putting a picture on the script. There he is, right there, Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. So, anyways, with the leather vest and that bad hat. Anyways,
looks like it.
Pull that off.
Yeah, it's good.
That's Halloween costume.
There's my Halloween costume. Thanks, Slimmy.
Does he look like a rabbi with that hat?
Yeah, a little Matisyahu maybe mixed with Iron Mike Sharp.
I hope it warms up because I'll be frozen pretty stiff.
Well, you hope it stays cold if you're going to wear those shorts. If you're going to wear those shorts, you hope it's cold because I don't know if you want it to be too hot there. That'd be anyways, let's move on.
Kids.
Speaking of tight ends, who are we on? Blister, tight ends. Timothy Wright. I love how they list everything Timothy with them. At Buffalo or Jordan Cameron.
Oh, Jordan Cameron's been one of the biggest disappointments at tight end this year. And I don't think Tim Wright, I mean, he had a great week last week. Doesn't mean he will this week because that's typical New England. Excuse me. New England would.
You were sick earlier.
There's the first yawn. That's not bad. So I'm going to go with Tim Wright, though. I would hope to think that New England said, hey, we got a winning formula and we actually moved the ball regularly and we got some points. So let's go with what worked last week. But
that's not going to happen.
It makes too much sense. They must be run by the government.
Slim, who you taking, Timothy Wright or Jordy Cameron?
I'm going to go with Jordan Cameron. He had 7 targets last week. I'm not sure. I need to see more of Wright to be a believer. We know that the Patriots' offense kind of is a flavor of the week type thing at times. So the targets were there for
flavor,
Cameron.
Very bland.
Yeah, well, now he's coming off that shoulder injury. Now it's just a matter of him. He's got to make the catches, and hopefully he's a week healthier. And if he can turn, say, 6 of those targets into catches, then I think he's in for a pretty solid week.
Sorry. Okay, so we're going to the flex position now. Slim, staying with you, Justin Hunter or Ronnie Hillman?
I'm going to go Justin Hunter. I'm hedging my bets here, too. If Kendall Wright flops and I lose a point there, at least hopefully that means Justin Hunter has a big game. But I really think that Hunter could be the leading receiver for Tennessee this week, actually. I just feel like Jacksonville can give up those big plays, and Hunter's kind of that big play guy in this offense. And, he might only catch 3 or 4 passes, but that could be all that's needed. And Hillman's going against a tough rushing defense. We know that. And I'm not sure how many passes he'll even have to catch because Demarius and Julius could do it all, and all of a sudden it'll be pound the rock time all second half, which isn't necessarily Hillman's specialty.
Right. I apologize for all the Tennessee players on This Is the Man this week, but they are hosting Jacksonville, so, I mean...
Yeah, they're relevant now.
So, that's right. So we're going to go to the DST, and we are going to take a look at those Tennessee Titans. So the Titans are the Cardinals, and that is going to you, Slim.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear Blister even talk about Justin Hunter. So.
Oh, sorry. I already had his name on there. I apologize. Blister's taking Justin Hunter. Go.
I think
he already typed it in there. I apologize.
Hillman's got a tough match, and actually, I'm supposed to go first on defense because Hillman, tough matchup. Hunter, I'd like to see them build off of what he did last week and get some confidence going for him, and with the offense having confidence in him as well. And not just himself. But so we'll take Hunter there. Jacksonville gives up the most yards through the air. So there could be hopefully enough to go around for Hunter and Kendall Wright. And then I'm going to go with the Titans defense.
All right. Sorry for the mix-up there. That's what Blister gets for messing with my script.
I know. I knew I was screwing.
Damn you guys, just leave it alone. I'm only going to put it on view only, no edits, and then that way you can't mess with my mind. All right, so Blister is going to take the Tennessee Titans defense. Slim, are you taking the Cards or the Titans?
I have a hard time not taking a defense that's going against Jacksonville, so I'm taking the Titans. I've taken them in a lot of leagues this week as a streaming defense, so I'm going to stick with it.
All right, we're going to recap Week 6 because I have no idea who we picked and what we did, so I'm sure the listeners have followed even less than me who has it in front of me. So let's take a look at quarterbacks. Blister's taking Austin Davis. Slim's taking Matt Stafford. At the running back position, both guys are taking Shady McCoy over Ben Tate. Both of them are taking Tony Tone Smith over Bishop Sankey. Both guys at the wide receiver are taking Kendall Wright over Sammy Watkins. Both guys are going to take the Crabtree over Michael Floyd. At the at the tight end position, Blister's going to take Timothy Wright. Slim's taking Jordan Cameron. At the flex, both guys are taking Justin Hunter over Ronnie Hillman. And finally, at the DST, both guys are taking the Titans over the Cardinals DST. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3 Titans listed, and you guys both have said yes to all 3 of the Titans positions. So if that means anything to anybody who's listening, if you see a Titan on your roster, more or less, you take them. So guys, that was This Is the Man. I would go for Killing in the Name of, but I think it would be this podcast maybe. And I wouldn't want to rant about something we made, but it started off okay. But really, I mean, the Baba Booey threw me for a loop, and it never came back.
Yeah,
anyways, I can't.
Whatever.
Well,
it's not always on our A game.
It's not too often you have people crash the studio. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
I think I almost called in sick for this.
For this, yeah. Well, guys, I'm gonna crush some hot and honey wings that are still here, and you guys have fun out on the football field and all that jazz tomorrow. By the way, I got some.
Cold.
I got some positive feedback on your banter today at the games. That you sound good and you have good excitement in your voice. So I just thought I'd give you a shout out. The girls hockey coach, Scotty C. Yeah.
Huh.
Scotty C was pretty pumped about that. So, mind you, he was with, I forget who he was with, maybe Sean Tags, and they thought it was me. He thought it was me at first. He goes, no, I don't think that's Buckets. And then
well, we both have velvet voices, so I guess I was easily confused. But
it is true. Have you come up with a catchphrase yet for not touchdowns because there's not many to look at, but even first downs, again, not many to look at, but.
I feel I don't need one. No offense. I mean, I don't want to.
No offense taken.
I don't want to copy you. That's one thing.
No, that's the first time, Muskers.
Yeah,
the first time, Muskers.
I don't want to steal that away from you at all. So I want people to have a memory.
Good.
You know, so you know, have you dropped the rolling ball of butcher knives a couple times?
Yeah.
You know. Third in the country mile, I know that got a couple chuckles from some of the faculty when I said that.
I'm sure you've used it a few times.
I tried not to. I tried to only go to that well once, but it was hard that last game, man. There was a lot of third longs. But on another note, so Blister yet again another Blister confusion in Toronto. At the ministry meeting, I get I've met you before. Aren't you the VP at the? And I'm like, no, that's not me. So it's
sorry, man.
I said, but I have followed in his footsteps all the way through. So if you're going to mistake me for anybody, please let it be, hey, Mr. Blister. And then,
well, speak of confusion, so on we had our just the last few days we had these boys out camping for the Young Men's Challenge, it's called, and anyways, long story short, I send I guess you'd say the itinerary, the list to the caterer because we don't cook.
Yeah.
And so all you're on the hook for is 4 meals. I said we'll have a group of guys help them clean up, do dishes, food prep, whatever you need. And so we basically need 2 lunches, a supper, and a brekkie. And I guess reading that on an email, you could interpret that as a break. We wanted a snack for a break.
Okay, so you didn't have breakfast? So you didn't have breakfast, but you had a few chips for breakfast?
Sandwiches, boys.
So the boys are all like, hey, where's the breakfast? And the guy goes, what breakfast? So he goes, oh, wait a minute. Oh, brekkie. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I can see.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, boys, we'll catch some fish. We'll have
yeah, we did. It was good. Brekkie is not the same as breakfast.
No.
Could be a breakie.
I also do want to note that we complained about this podcast, and yet we've had one viewer on for quite a long time. One viewer.
Thanks, Mom.
So
go to bed, sleep.
I think this would be kind of like a car crash, though. I'd want to stick around and just watch and see, watch it.
Not look.
One of us might shit our pants or something. Who knows what's gonna happen next?
Who knows what kind of crazy stuff's about to go down? All right. Anyways, you guys have a great day. I'm going to be in the west end of the district tomorrow, and for everyone else, I'll see you when it's springtime in the Rockies.